Concessioning has to be clarified. A lot of people don't understand what concessioning is. Like when you hear about Lagos being concessioned, Lagos is not being concessioned. Terminal building is being concessioned, not the airport. The runway will always remain fine, okay? The taxiways will always remain fine. But the concessioning of operations of terminal building, same thing here. So we're concessioning the infrastructure of the airport. Because this is slightly different from Lagos in the sense that this is primarily an aerotropolis. And because it's an aerotropolis, that makes it more attractive for a concessionaire, because then the concessionaire has the opportunity to build whatever they want to on top of what they've seen here in terms of the runway, the master plan, and the business plan. So for example, if any of you wanted to take the concession of this airport, you'd say, I've seen it's an aerotropolis, you have a permit for an aerotropolis. So that means I can choose what type of hotels. I can put Marriott here, I can put Sheraton here, I can do how many rooms, which side of the airport should it be, I want to build a swimming pool thing, I want to do this. Whatever you want to do, you can do because it's an aerotropolis. That's what makes it attractive for a concessionaire, beyond just the terminal. Because you see, a terminal this is an international airport, but what I mean by international, I'm talking about I was going to say gateway, this is also a gateway. But when you're talking about Lagos and Abuja, for example, the concession there is because the interest of the concessionaire is because of revenue. Okay, significant revenue, because those are the primary earners of the airports in Nigeria. But a place like this, it's not going to be a primary earner from a passenger perspective. It's going to be a primary earner from cargo and the aerotropolis. Because there's a shortage of housing in Nigeria, by and large. So, and Lagos is expensive because there's no land. So you build housing estates here, residential complexes, offices. If you've been to aerotropolises in other parts of the world, you see that there's DHL has an office there, and so on and so forth, and companies, Microsoft, they have, because the land use charge is much less. The electricity is cheaper, because in a place like this, you have what they call internally generated power, okay, off-grid. So we'd have, because here, for example, the power here is a combination of the IPP from Shagamu, okay? There's also Babcock University, well, some Babcock, BU Power. So you can have an IPP here. So you have dedicated power. And with an airport, certain infrastructure must have uninterrupted power, like a control tower, for example, and the runway lights. So in spite of the fact that we'll have the IPP here from Shagamu, we also have backup power, which is generators. But we don't want to use diesel generators, because diesel it's messy, first of all. Secondly, it's subject to theft, because you don't know how much. If you want to buy 10,000 liters, you don't know whether they offloaded 10,000. They say they did, but you don't know for sure. And then even when they put it into your tanks here at night, you don't know how much of it is being siphoned and so on. So you don't want to use diesel if you can. And then again, for your financial model and your costing, you can't cost your project based on diesel because the price is not constant. It keeps changing. So you have to use solar as an alternative. You have to use gas, CNG. Okay. If you look behind you, see all this on the ground here, there's yellow on the ground, the yellow boxes all over the airport. If you look at those yellow boxes, that's actually where the fiber cable goes. Because this airport is not, when you go to some airports, the check-in counter, you see the Airtel, modem, this is fiber. You have none of that nonsense. This is fiber, and it's very high bandwidth. We're talking about 150 megabytes per second. Okay, because it's fiber. So that's the minimum anyway. It's not that we're paying for extra. That's the minimum with fiber. So every point in this airport is connected by a fiber. Okay. Then there's a backup to the fiber. We have Starlink on top of this building, on top of the control tower. So that's a backup to the fiber, because fiber goes down once in a while when people cut the cable when they're building something somewhere. Same thing with electricity. If there's a problem with IPP, we have the backup power, but we also have inverters. When we go to the control tower, I won't take you in, but I'll show you where we have inverters. The inverters for the control tower, it's the size of, the inverter battery is the size of your sitting room in your house. Okay, it occupies that much space, and it provides backup power, intermittent peak, so that when the main power goes, before the generator starts, it provides uninterrupted power. So your runway lights stay on, the control tower has its operations going, then the other backup power kicks in. So there's also, like I said, we're putting a lot of things in place here to make sure that it is future-proof. Okay, these lights, for example, can you see the apron lights? If you look at the apron lights, when you go to other airports, older airports, you have to use scaffolding. That's why they don't change the bulbs frequently. They scaffolding to go up there. We have a different system. You can see that one, the lights are on the ground. But this one, the lights are on the roof up there because there's a mechanism to wind it up and put it down. So you bring it down, change the bulbs, and up it goes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.